JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 20th of July 2020. So yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session. Where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. So yep, feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there on the top. Now let's jump into this figure right here. So as you know, last week we had a new record high in terms of total amount of infections. So yep, unfortunately that's the kind of the gloomy situation right now, the gloomy reality. The figure continues to rise. Now, according to some other sources, the figure is already slightly above the 14,600,000. So basically, if we will keep the same pace, and well, unfortunately, of course, if we'll keep the same pace, then the 15 million mark will get hit probably in a couple of days. So unfortunately, if you look at this graph right here, the daily cases, you can see that yes, last week we had that surge here, but yeah, it is moving a little bit lower here. However, as you can see, previous kind of the previous tendency here, it does move a little bit, correct a little bit lower, and then go for another kind of all-time high, I would say. So so yeah, for now, basically that's the kind of the situation. Unfortunately, be very careful, guys. Hope you're all staying safe. But yeah, let's see how this is going to play out. Now, jumping into the charts very quickly here. So the first one I want to touch on here is the Nikkei. So the index, as you can see, continues to trade above this little short-term upside support line taken from the low the 15th of June. In addition to that, the index managed to stay above this upside line today because the index is already closed. For Monday, it closed slightly in the positive territory, and like I said, it managed to remain above this upside support line. So now what we can do here is, first of all, monitor the high of last week near the 22,900 and 965 territory, roughly around there. Well, in a way, a nice good push above this could in a way open the door towards slightly higher levels, but we do have this important area of resistance here, the highest point of June, which we'll be monitoring carefully, because if that fails to provide resistance, then a nice break would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and yep, then we will start aiming for these levels here, for example, the high of the 20th of February near the 23,806 territory, or even above that. But again, keep your eyes on this upside line, keep your eyes on these barriers, the high of last week and the highest point of June. We need to see a clear break above them in order to kind of, let's say, get a little bit more excited with higher levels. In terms of the downside, a break of this upside line and a drop below the 21-day EMA here could maybe give a bit of hope for the sellers. However, just to be on the safe side, maybe a drop below the 22,285 territory right here, marked by the low of the 10th of July, could do the trick for more sellers, and more of them could be joining in here and driving this one lower. However, We're not there yet, so for now we're leaning a little bit more to the upside. Now jumping into Shanghai Composite, so this one is still trading today, but this one is performing much better than Nikkei, for example, and Shanghai Composite is making its way up again. It's trying to get back above this 3,288 territory that I talked about last week. That what I was saying, that if we get a nice daily close below this, then yep, it kind of increases the chances for a further move lower. Now we did get that break, we did get daily close, but as you can see, the 21-day EMA acted as a very nice support zone from where the price rebounded and is now trying to make its way back above this 3,288 zone. By the way, that's the highest point of 2019, just in case. So the big question here, of course, because we still have a bit of time left, not a full hour left of trading in Shanghai Composite here, in a way we're going to keep an eye on this barrier. If the price remains below this, then maybe there is still a hope for the sellers to jump in here and drive this one to the downside. So it could be quite interesting. So let's see how this is going to play out. If it does close above this 3,288 territory, then of course we'll be cautiously bullish here. Maybe cautiously bullish, because we would actually prefer, in order to aim for some higher levels, we would prefer to see a push above the 3,336 territory right here, and then yep, we could aim for some slightly higher levels here. So that's why I'd be very careful for now, guys. Basically, long story short, this little area here between these two levels, between the 3,288 and the 3,336 levels, we'll keep it as a bit of a neutral one. So that's why, like I said, be very careful for now. For now, you can see that the the price is getting a hold up near this 3,288 zone. So let's see where it's gonna end the day. Jumping into DAX, and so the German index here is kind of, well, on Friday it ended the day kind of virtually unchanged, or just I would say maybe slightly in the positive territory, and managed to close the week above the high of June here, which is near the 12,913 zone. So that's kind of we could say that's wonderful news. The cash index right now is still balancing above that area, so basically still kind of we are leaning a little bit more to the upside on this one. As long as it remains above this June high near the 12,913 territory, there is a good chance for this one to move higher in the near term, where the next potential target could be around the 13,237 territory, roughly around here, or the next target could be around the 13,500 level. Now, don't get me wrong, if it falls below these levels, below the, for example, 12,773 territory, then we could consider a bit of a decline, a bit of a move lower. However, it still could be seen as a temporary correction, because as you can see, the index remains above this this medium-term upside support line taken from the low of the 19th of March. So that's something to keep in mind. Previously, I talked about the downside from somewhere here, from the 11,957 zone. Now, don't get me wrong, it still is a quite comfortable level for us, after a break of which we could consider the downside. But given that we have already managed to move a little bit more to the upside here, we could start looking at some lower levels a little bit earlier if we get a drop somewhere below here, below this, the low of the 10th of July, and that's roughly around the 12,417 zone right here. And then yes, we could consider some lower areas, but again, for now, it is where it is. Let's see if the index is able to kind of push further north, and as I said, the next target for us could be that 13,236 zone. Of course, don't forget about the psychological 13,000 level as well, something that we'll keep an eye on. But if that gets violated, as I said, these slightly higher levels could be met. Now, gold, jumping into gold very quickly. So I talked about this one. last week and on Friday, basically I was saying that be very careful because yes, initially it was showing willingness in the beginning of in the last week. It was showing willingness to travel higher, but it broke this upside line and taken from the low of the 5th of June and drifted to the downside and closed below it, of course, but it remained above its key support level near the 1796 territory, roughly around there, because that's the highest point of 2012. On Friday, then it rebounded and pushed higher, however, still remained below this upside line and most importantly below the current highest point of July near the 1818 level. Now, in order to aim for some higher levels, of course, we need to see a push above this barrier, above the 1818 level, and this way the commodity would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and yep, higher levels could be met. But for now, basically, as you can see, the precious metal is stuck. So it's stuck roughly in this little range between the 1789 and the 1818 levels. Or we can actually even say that it's stuck between the 1796 and this 1818 level, so basically in this little tight range. But even if it drops below the 1796 territory right here, for example, yes, it could increase the chances of drifting further south. However, the more comfortable level after a break of which we could aim for some lower levels could be near the 1789 zone, so keep your eyes on that one. At the same time, maybe the price could fall below the 21-day EMA, and if we do see a daily close below that this EMA, then yep, we'll start looking at some lower areas. Now, jumping into WTI oil, again, not much excitement here, but it's just getting into more squeeze. We need to still see that break. We're waiting for that pop above the 41.61 level, and the or a drop below this 37.10 territory right here before, let's say, examining some lower levels. So in a way, for now, of course, don't get me wrong, it does present itself with a nice opportunity to go in here. However, it's really unclear. On one hand, yes, it is still balancing nicely above its 21-day EMA. On the other hand, it's struggling to overcome this 200-day EMA. So basically, it's getting into this very tight squeeze here. So we're waiting for that pop. However, it could pop in either direction. It could move in either direction. So that's why wait for the move, because at this point it's a bit of a tricky one. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin Cash, by the way, Bitcoin Cash is well, it's trading nowhere, to be honest. I mean, over the weekend it did try to move a little bit higher. However, it got a hold up near this 227 territory, roughly around here. This is where it's currently trading at. In a way, for us to look at some higher or lower levels, first of all, in terms of the downside, for example, we would need to see this one kind of moving. Let me just get rid of this downside line, no longer needed. We would need to see this one exiting the range through the lower side of it here. The lower side is roughly around the 204 territory. A nice drop below this could open the door towards some lower areas. One of the good ones to watch here, of course, is the lowest point of March near the 141.11. But again, we cannot really talk about the downside until we get that break below this 204 zone. In terms of the upside, a push above the 245.50 territory may attract a few more buyers, and basically we could see this crypto moving a little bit higher within the range, because let's not forget that. And we could then target the upper bound of this range near the 280.50 level. So keep your eyes on that one. Now, jumping into a few pairs, AUDNZD, I talked about this one last week, and especially on Friday, I told you guys to keep an eye on this barrier, the 1.0675 zone. As you can see, it continues to act as a good area of resistance, and basically for now, the fact that yes, it is trading above this downside line taken from the high of the 2nd of June is great. Good news for the buyers. Also good news for the buyers that the pair continues to balance above the 21-day EMA, and on the other hand, it also seems to be flagging out here. However, as I said, this barrier here, the 1.0675, continues to provide decent resistance, so we keep getting overshoots, but we're not getting the daily candle kind of remaining above it. So that's what we are looking here for. We would prefer to wait for a daily candle kind of staying above that barrier before, let's say, aiming for some higher levels. Now, in a way, in terms of the downside here, of course, we will take a bit of a conservative approach here and wait for a drop below the current lowest point of July near the 1.0556 territory. And then, yep, we could consider further declines. But again, for now, we are closer to this key resistance level. So let's see if we can get a nice push above it. If we can, then yes, higher levels could be met. Now, GBPUSD very quickly here. So this one is trading a little bit on the downside today. However, it still, as you can see, it continues to trade above the 21-day EMA and the 100-day EMA, shown as the yellow and the green lines respectively. So last week, this area kind of provided, these two lines provided decent support. The same story is happening right now, for now, of course. And some might say maybe this could be seen as a positive sign. However, at the same time, it's kind of stuck below the this 200-day EMA. So in other words, we're going to remain a little bit on the neutral side, because for now, from the very short-term perspective, it is unclear exactly where it wants to travel to. It's still, as you can see, it remains above this short-term upside support line taken from the low of the 18th of May. So it kind of is still forming somewhat these higher lows. However, it's struggling with the upside here, so that's why we will be very careful. And we'll wait for at least a push above the 1.2669 level, which is the current highest point of July, in order to aim for some slightly higher levels, where the next potential target is the highest point of June, near the 1.2813, and then we'll take it from there, because we want to see if it actually will be able to overcome this barrier. But again, for now, from the very short-term perspective, guys, in order to aim for some higher levels, we would prefer to wait for a push above the 1.2669 level. In terms of the downside, we would maybe start looking at some slightly lower levels if we get a drop below the low of last week, near the 1.2480 territory. But probably the bears should not get way too excited, because the downside might get halted here near this short-term upside support line. So that's the kind of tricky situation here right now on GBPUSD. So we're waiting for this one to make a move at least. USDCAD, no, not much has changed since Friday. Basically what I was saying on Friday, that I'm keeping an eye right now on this little range here, roughly between the 1.3488 and the 1.3624 levels. We need to see kind of a clear break through one of those sides before, let's say, considering the next short-term directional move, because don't forget that if we see a break above this upper bound of the range here, then yes, the pair could travel a little bit higher, but it might get halted near this downside line taken from the high of the 31st of March. Now, jumping into another very interesting pair, I talked about this one about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, but nevertheless, what I was saying, that euro against the Turkish lira, here you can see that the strength of the current strength of the euro and the weakness of the Turkish lira is kind of having this or should say, drawing this picture here on euro TRY, and after the pair broke this key resistance level that I talked about previously, this 7.7960 territory, it has moved higher, but kind of got a hold up near the highest point of May, near the 7.8540 zone, roughly roughly around there. Today we're seeing another test of that area, so let's see if the pair can actually make its way higher, if it can go for this higher high. If it can, then yep, maybe more buyers could join in here and drive this this pair further north. Now, if we look at some of the historic highs here, you can see that the pair still has somewhere to go. Basically, the highest point of August of 2018 here near the 8.0130 territory. It could be a nice target. Of course, initially we'll aim for that kind of psychological 8 level, but again, for now, guys, from the shorter term perspective, keep your eyes on the highest point of May. If we do get a nice daily candle kind of staying above that, then yes, higher levels could be met, but again, be very careful because we might get those false breakouts as well. Now, jumping into euro against the US dollar, and here you can see that the pair is popping higher. It managed to close last week on Friday, and managed to close last week above the highest point of June, of course only fractionally, and today we saw a bit of a gap to the downside. However, the buyers kind of quickly filled up this gap, and now they're pushing this pair further north. Now, as I've mentioned last week and the week before that, if we do get this push above the highest point of June, then yes, that's wonderful. We'll aim for some higher levels, but initially we'll target the 1.1458 territory, and then we'll aim for that highest point of March near the 1.1496 zone, and then we'll take it from there, because we want to see how it's going to perform here. If it gets a hold up near this level, we might get maybe a bit of a correction back down, and still, don't get me wrong, I mean, the upside scenario remains on the table, because as long as the pair continues to balance above this upside support line taken from the low of the 14th of May, then yep, the upside is still valid, the upside scenario is still valid, and yep, higher levels could be met. So again, for now, guys, yes, we will aim for some slightly higher levels here, but initially we'll target this the highest point of March, and at the same time the current highest point of this year near the 1.1496. So let's see if we can reach that level. Slightly above that, of course, we do have that psychological 115 territory. It will be quite interesting to see if we can actually reach that as well. So keep your eyes on that one. So guys, I really hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. If you want to catch my video later on, my trader's tea time, as always, 13:15 GMT. But for now, guys, I hope you have a wonderful trading day. Stay safe, both health-wise and market-wise, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.